The figure had reached the top of the tower. Lamps and candles were alight all over the city. It was spread out below him, 10,000 little earthbound stars, and he could turn off any one he wanted, just like that. It was like being a god. It was amazing how sounds were so audible up here. It was like being a god. He could hear the howl of dogs, the sound of voices. Occasionally, one would be louder than the rest, rising up into the night sky. This was power. The power he had below, the power to say, do this, do that. That was just something human. But this was like being a god. He pulled the gun into position, clicked a rack of 6 bullets into position, and sighted at random on a light, and then on another one, and another one. He really shouldn't have let it shoot that beggar girl. That wasn't the plan. Guild leaders. That was poor little Edward's plan. Guild leaders, to start with. Leave the city leaderless and in turmoil, and then confront his silly candidate and say, "Go forth and rule. It is your destiny." That was an old disease, that kind of thinking. You caught it from crowns and silly stories. You believed that some trick like pulling a sword from a stone was somehow a qualification for kingly office. A sword from a stone? The gone was more magical than that. He lay down, stroked the gone, and waited. Day broke.
"I never touch nothing,"
said Coalface, and turned over on the slab. Detritus hit him over the head with his club.
"Up you get, soldiers! Hand off rock and on with sock! In another beautiful day in a watch! Lance Constable Coalface, on your feet, you horrible little man!"
20 minutes later, a bleary-eyed Sergeant Colon surveyed the troops. They were slumped on the benches, except for Acting Constable Detritus, who was sitting bolt upright with an air of official helpfulness.
"Right, men,"
Colon began.
"Now, as you men, you listen up good right now,"
Detritus boomed.
"Thank you, Acting Constable Detritus,"
said Colon wearily.
"Captain Vimes is getting married today. We're going to provide a guard of honor. That's what we always used to do in the old days when a watchman got wed. So I want helmets and breastplates bright and shiny, and cohorts gleaming, not a speck of muck. Where's Corporal Nobbs?"
There was a dink as Acting Constable Detritus's hand bounced off his new helmet.
"Haven't seen him for hours, sir,"
he reported. Colon rolled his eyes.
"And some of you will. Where's Lance Constable Angua?"
Dink.
"No one's seen her since last night, sir." "All right. We got through the night. We're going to get through the day. Corporal Carrot says we're to look sharp."
Dink.
"Yes, sir." "Acting Constable Detritus." "Sir?" "What's that you've got on your head?"
Dink.
"Acting Constable Cuddy made it for me, sir. Special clockwork thinking helmet."
Cuddy coughed.
"These big bits are cooling fins, see? Painted black. I glummed the clockwork engine off my cousin, and this fan here blows air over..."
He stopped when he saw Colon's expression.
"That's what you've been working on all night, is it?"
"Yes, because I reckon troll brains get to..."
The sergeant waved him into silence.
"So we've got a real clockwork soldier, have we?" said Colon. "We're a real model army, we are."
Elsewhere. Gaspode was geographically embarrassed. He knew where he was, more or less. He was somewhere beyond the shades in the network of dock basins and cattle yards. Even though he thought of the whole city as belonging to him, this wasn't his territory. There were rats here almost as big as he was, and he was basically a sort of terrier shape, and Ankh-Morpork rats were intelligent enough to recognize it. He'd also been kicked by 2 horses and almost run over by a cart. And he'd lost the scent. She'd doubled back and forth and used rooftops and crossed the river a few times. Werewolves were instinctively good at avoiding pursuit. After all, the surviving ones were descendants of those who could outrun an angry mob. Those who couldn't outwit a mob never had descendants, or even graves. Several times, the scent petered out at a wall or a low-roofed hut, and Gaspode would limp around in circles until he found it again. Random thoughts wavered in his schizophrenic doggy mind.
Clever dog saves the day, he muttered. Everyone says, good doggy. No, they don't. I'm only doing it because I was threatened. The marvelous nose. I didn't want to do this. You shall have a bone. I'm just flotsam on the sea of life, me. Who's a good boy? Shut up.
The sun toiled up the sky. Down below, Gaspode toiled on. Elsewhere, Willikins opened the curtain. Sunlight poured in. Vimes groaned and sat up slowly in what remained of his bed.
Good grief, man, he mumbled. What sort of time do you call this?
Almost 9 in the morning, sir,
said the butler. 9 in the morning? What sort of time is that to get up? I don't normally get up until the afternoon's got the shine worn off.
But sir is not at work anymore, sir.
Vimes looked down at the tangle of sheets and blankets. They were wrapped around his legs and knotted together. Then he remembered the dream. He'd been walking around the city. Well, maybe not so much a dream as a memory. After all, he walked the city every night. Some part of him wasn't giving up. Some part of Vimes was learning to be a civilian, but an old part was proceeding to a different beat. He'd thought the place seemed deserted and harder to walk through than usual.
Does sir wish me to shave him, or will sir do it himself?
I get nervous if people hold blades near my face, said Vimes. But if you harness the horse and cart, I'll try and get to the other end of the bathroom.
Very amusing, sir.
Vimes had another bath, just for the novelty of it. He was aware from a general background noise that the mansion was busily humming towards W hour. Lady Sybil was devoting to her wedding all the directness of thought she'd normally apply to breeding out a tendency towards floppy ears in swamp dragons. Half a dozen cooks had been busy in the kitchens for 3 days. They were roasting a whole ox and doing amazing stuff with rare fruit. Hitherto, Sam Vimes' idea of a good meal was liver without tubes. Hot cuisine had been bits of cheese on sticks stuck into half a grapefruit. He was vaguely aware that prospective grooms were not supposed to see putative brides on the morning of the wedding, possibly in case they took to their heels. That was unfortunate. He'd have liked to have talked to someone. If he could talk to someone, it might all make sense. He picked up the razor and looked in the mirror at the face of Captain Samuel Vimes. Elsewhere, Colin saluted and then peered at Carrot.
You all right, sir? You look like you could do with some sleep.
10 o'clock, or various attempts thereof, began to boom around the city. Carrot turned away from the window. I've been looking, he said.
3 more recruits this morning already, said Colin.
They'd asked to join Mr. Carrot's army. He was slightly worried about that. Good.
Detritus is giving him very basic training, said Colin. It works too. After an hour of him shouting in their ear, they do anything I tell them.
I want all the men we can spare up on the rooftops between the palace and the university, said Carrot.
There's assassins up there already, said Colin. And the Thieves' Guild have got men up there too.
They're thieves and assassins. We're not. Make sure someone's up on the Tower of Art as well.
Sir?
Yes, Sergeant?
We've been talking, me and the lads, and, well...
Yes?
It'd save a lot of trouble if we went to the wizards and asked them...
Captain Vimes never had any truck with magic.
No, but...
No magic, Sergeant.
Yes, sir.
Guard of Honor all sorted out?
Yes, sir. Their cohorts all gleaming in purple and gold, sir.
Really?
Very important, sir. Good, clean cohorts. Frighten the life out of the enemy.
Good.
But I can't find Corporal Nobbs, sir.
Is that a problem?
Well, it means the honor guard will be a bit smarter, sir.
I've sent him on a special errand.
Can't find Lance Constable Angua either.
Sergeant. Colin braced himself. Outside, the bells were dying away. Did you know she was a werewolf?
Captain Vimes kind of hinted, sir.
How did he hint? Colin took a step back.
He sort of said, Fred, she's a damn werewolf. I don't like it any more than you do, but veterinary says we've got to take one of them as well. And a werewolf's better than a vampire or a zombie, and that's all there is to it. That's what he hinted.
I see.
Sorry about that, sir.
Just let's get through the day, Fred. That's all.
A bing, a bing, a bing, bong.
We never even presented the captain with his watch, said Carrot, taking it out of his pocket. He must have gone off, thinking we didn't care. He was probably looking forward to getting a watch. I know it always used to be a tradition.
It's been a busy few days, sir. Anyway, we can give it to him after the wedding.
Carrot slipped the watch back into its bag. I suppose so. Well, let's get organized, Sergeant. Elsewhere. Corporal Nobbs toiled through the darkness under the city. His eyes had got accustomed to the gloom now. He was dying for a smoke, but Carrot had warned him about that. Just take the sack, follow the trail, bring back the body. And don't nick any jewelry.